Oh, people love to try to educate me on the word cult and its uses without having any expertise themselves in the field. So let's play this out. I'm going to tell you about the cult wars and why religious leaders are the ones that don't want you to use the word cult as a pejorative, and how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children that has hurt. I'm Daniella, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. I'm the author of a book called Uncultured, about growing up in one of the world's most extreme cults, the Children of God, and going into the cult of the U.S. Army. You can get signed copies here. So the person who came up with the term new religious movement, which is what these people want you to use, Gordon Melton, took $100,000 from the pedo cult to say they were not a cult. Okay, so what happened is in the 70s, after Manson and Jonestown and all of the different cults popping up, the word cult evolved and it became permanently pejorative. And we need that. We need a word to describe what we went through. Okay, yes, historically, they described the cult of Isis, the cult of Dionysus. Those weren't good cults, by the way. Those were just groups that were starting that they didn't have a word for at the time. So historians use this. But outside of that, anyone that doesn't want you using the word cult in a pejorative way is trying to control you talking about your experiences. Okay, so in the 70s, there was some traction to get some laws against coercive control. But instead of that, religious leaders in America decided that if those laws went through, they would lose control over y'all. So they decided to fight that. And they demonized the word cult, and they spread the idea that nobody should listen to cult survivors because they are disgruntled, instead of asking why. So for all of the 80s and the 90s, the word cult wasn't really used that much, and people were being chided for using it. And this was all at the behest of religious leaders, and this was hurting so many children. And this was literally called the cult wars, and they would go get academics to write things saying, oh no, such and such a group is not a cult. And guess what? 4 countries tried to take the children from the Schmeck's cult, and 4 countries had to give them back because of stuff like this. This is from Dr. Janja Lalich's book, Take Back Your Life, which we are doing in Cult Theory Book Club right now. We meet to discuss next week. Link in Lio. It's done through my Matreon. Another matter I hope to shed light on is the damage wrought by cult apologists. These individuals, mostly academics, allege that cults, although they rarely use that term, do no harm, and that reports of emotional or psychological damage are exaggerations or even fabrications on the part of disgruntled former members. Naturally, I disagree. It is unfortunate that there continues to be not enough public understanding of the potential danger of some cults and the desperate need for public and community resources for survivors. Certainly, risks and potential harmful consequences exist for individuals involved in closed authoritarian groups and abusive relationships. If there weren't, there would be no need for cult research and information organizations, or for books such as this. Added to individual level consequences, there are documented dangers to society from cults whose members carry out their beliefs in antisocial ways, sometimes random, sometimes planned, through fraud, terrorist acts, drug dealing, arms trading, enforced prostitution of members, that was the Children of God, labor trafficking, that was also the Children of God and almost every cult, schmexual exploitation, of course, and other violent or criminal behaviors, because cults are criminal enterprises. From my perspective, a group or relationship earns the label cult on the basis of its methods and behaviors, not on the basis of its beliefs. Often those of us who criticize cults are accused of wanting to deny people their freedoms or of hurting pagans, religious or otherwise. But what we critique and oppose is precisely the representation and stripping away of individual freedoms that tend to occur in cults. It's not the beliefs that we oppose, but the exploitation, exploitative manipulation of people's idealism, commitment, and trust. Our society must not shy away from exposing and holding accountable these social systems, whether they be communities, organizations, families, or relationships, that use deception, manipulation, coercion, and persuasion to attract, recruit, convert, and hold on to, and ultimately exploit people. And this is why you cannot have good cults, because coercion, manipulation, and exploitation cannot be good. So again, and this person tries to be like, okay, we'll just agree to disagree. And like, yeah, sure, you can tell yourself that that's what it is, but you're just telling an expert that they're wrong in their field of expertise when you have none. That's not agreeing to disagree. That's cult think. Captain Mestyanek out. Signed copies of Uncultured attached here. Just a reminder that the only people that don't want you to use the word cult in a pejorative way are the people that are trying to control you. Coming back to say, it's also really important to understand that there are no good cults, because coercive people use that right now. Oh, if it's a cult, it's a good one. AA, oh, if it's brainwashing, my brain needed to be washed. There are no good cults. Every single person who was born and raised in a cult will tell you that. And if other experts tell you about good cults, like he who shall not be named, they're just wrong. They just don't have that perspective.